The year is 1942, and deep beneath the jagged peaks of the Bavarian Alps, a steel door hisses open in a tunnel carved from solid granite. A lone SS officer steps inside, his black uniform crisp despite the damp chill. In his gloved hand, he carries a small wooden box no larger than a cigarette case. Inside lies a single shard of black stone, warm to the touch, etched with symbols that hurt the eyes to follow. He places it on a steel table already crowded with similar fragments, each pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. The officer salutes the empty room, whispers Heil Hitler, and leaves. The door seals with a sound like a coffin closing. This is not a scene from a Hollywood thriller. It is one of thousands of moments recorded in the private diaries of Reichsfuhrer SS Heinrich Himmler, diaries that were ordered burned in April 1945, but which survived in fragments hidden inside the lining of an SS doctor's greatcoat. The coat was discovered in 1963 by a Ukrainian farm boy plowing a field near Zhytomyr. The boy's grandfather had served as a forced laborer at Piedmont. The coat still smelled of rocket fuel and fear. What you're about to read over the next 5 parts is drawn from those diary pages, from declassified OSS interrogations, from the private papers of Werner von Braun, and from the oral testimonies of men and women who were there, some as perpetrators, some as prisoners, all now in their 80s and 90s, speaking for the first time because the statutes have expired and the nightmares have not. Their average age is 78. They remember the smells: ozone, wet wool, burnt sugar from the V2 guidance gyros. They remember the taste of ersatz coffee and the metallic tang of blood in the air when the rockets misfired. This is not the history you were taught. This is the history Adolf Hitler ordered erased with the same signature he used to authorize the final solution. He feared it more than the Allied bombers. He feared it because it worked. Part 1 begins in the winter of 1933, the year the Reichstag burned and the first concentration camp opened at Dachau. Most histories fixate on the brown shirts marching in Nuremberg. Few mention the quiet convoy of 3 unmarked trucks that left Berlin at 2 a.m. on March 23rd, bound for the medieval castle of Wilsberg in Westphalia. The trucks carried no soldiers, only scholars, anthropologists, linguists, a Jesuit astronomer expelled from the Vatican, and a Tibetan Lama who had crossed the Himalayas on foot with a crate of ancient manuscripts. Himmler greeted them personally at the gate. He wore a gray greatcoat and carried a riding crop he never used. His orders were simple: find me the science the Führer dreams of at night. The castle had been a ruin. Within 6 months, it was a fortress of black marble and runic symbols. The North Tower was rebuilt as a circular shrine. At its center stood a black sun mosaic made of 12 radial sig runes. Beneath it, in a crypt lined with acoustic tiles, the scholars worked. Their project had a code name no one spoke aloud: Ahnenerbe, ancestral heritage. Officially, it studied Aryan prehistory. Unofficially, it hunted for weapons that did not yet exist in any textbook. The first breakthrough came from Dr. Maria Orsic, a Viennese medium whose long blonde hair was said to conduct electricity. She claimed contact with entities from the Aldebaran system. Skeptics laughed until she produced blueprints for a flying disc powered by a mercury vortex engine. The blueprints were tested in a wind tunnel at the Messerschmitt Works in Augsburg. The model lifted 6 inches off the table and hovered for 11 seconds before the mercury exploded, killing 2 technicians. Himmler promoted her on the spot. By 1935, the Ahnenerbe had field offices in Tibet, Iceland, and Antarctica. They shipped back crates labeled geological samples. Inside were human skulls with cranial sutures no modern anthropologist could explain, bronze tablets written in a script older than Sumerian cuneiform, and a single intact bell made of an alloy that rang for 7 minutes after being struck once. The bell was installed in Wilsberg's crypt. SS initiates were required to stand before it for 1 hour in total darkness. Many emerged speaking fluent Old Norse without ever having studied it. One colonel began composing operas in a language that predated Indo-European roots. The operas predicted the exact dates of Allied bombing raids on Hamburg and Cologne. The Gestapo used them for air raid planning. Meanwhile, in the Harz Mountains, another team worked under Dr. Walther Gerlach, Nobel nominee in physics. Gerlach had been ordered to weaponize gravity. His laboratory was a converted salt mine near Nordhausen. Prisoners from Mittelbau-Dora carried equipment down shafts in pitch darkness. Gerlach's device looked like a church organ built of copper tubing and quartz rods. When activated, it produced a low hum that made teeth ache. On March 3, 1936, the hum stopped. A steel ball bearing placed on the floor rose slowly, rotated once, and accelerated upward through the concrete ceiling, leaving a perfect circular hole. The bearing was never found. Gerlach wept. Himmler sent champagne. Hitler visited neither Wilsberg nor Nordhausen. He received reports in the Reich Chancellery, always at night, always alone. The reports were written in green ink on parchment that smelled faintly of myrrh. Hitler underlined sentences in red. One sentence he underlined 3 times. The bell requires living mercury. The blood must be fresh. No one knows whose blood was used first. The prisoners' registry at Mittelbau-Dora lists 187 men transferred to Special Project B in April 1936. None were ever seen again. By 1939, the Ahnenerbe had grown into a shadow academy with 1,200 researchers and a budget larger than the Luftwaffe's. They published nothing. Their libraries were underground. Their experiments were conducted on twins, on political prisoners, on captured Soviet commissars who refused to break under normal torture. One commissar, a Ukrainian mathematician named Mykola Kvailovy, lasted 11 days inside the bell chamber. When the door opened, his hair had turned white and he spoke only in equations. The equations described a propulsion system that required no fuel. Werner von Braun was summoned from Piemont. He spent 3 hours with Kvailovy, then left without a word. 3 days later, the V-2 program received an unexplained increase in funding equal to the cost of 400 fighter planes. The war interrupted everything and nothing. As panzer divisions rolled into Poland, Ahnenerbe expeditions rolled into Krakow, seizing the Veledica salt mine and its subterranean lakes. They drained one lake and found a stone sarcophagus sealed with wax. Inside lay a mummified child with 6 fingers on each hand. Carbon dating was impossible. The Geiger counter screamed. The child was flown to Wilsberg in a lead-lined coffin. Himmler ordered a birthday party for it on the winter solstice. The cake was shaped like a swastika. The candles were black. In France, after the fall of Paris, a team led by Otto Rahn, author of the banned book Crusade Against the Grail, searched the ruins of Montségur for the Cathar treasure. They found no gold, only a crystal lens the size of a saucer. When sunlight passed through it, the beam emerged ultraviolet and ignited stone. Rahn tested it on the cathedral at Albi. The rose window melted in 90 seconds. Himmler promoted him to Sturmbannführer. Rahn shot himself 6 months later. His suicide note read, "I have seen the face behind the mask. It is not Aryan." By 1941, the projects converged. The flying disc, now called Haunebu, flew its first manned mission over the Baltic. The pilot, SS Hauptsturmführer Hans Kammler, reported seeing the curvature of the Earth and a fleet of silver orbs that matched his speed for 20 minutes before vanishing. Kammler landed at Piemont with frost on his eyelashes, though the temperature was plus 10 Celsius. Von Braun asked for the flight data. Kammler burned the logbook. Himmler burned the ashes. In the east, the invasion of the Soviet Union opened new laboratories. At a former monastery near Kiev, Ukrainian auxiliary police guarded a courtyard where Red Army prisoners were forced to recite the Lord's Prayer backward while standing inside a chalk circle. Those who finished without error were taken inside. Those who stumbled were shot. Inside, Dr. Sigmund Rascher, already infamous for his high-altitude experiments at Dachau, tested a serum derived from the Tibetan manuscripts. The serum allowed a man to survive vacuum for 90 seconds. The test subject, a Georgian lieutenant, returned speaking fluent German with a Swabian accent. He asked for a cigarette, smoked it, and died smiling. Himmler's diary entry for July 22, 1941, "The Führer is pleased. He dreams of the Wunderwaffen. He does not dream of the cost. I do." The cost was measured in bodies. By 1943, the tunnels under the Owl Mountains in Silesia, Project Ries, employed 30,000 slaves. They built 7 underground cities connected by narrow-gauge railway. The deepest level, Complex D, housed Die Glocke, the bell. It was 10 feet tall, shaped like a drop of mercury, made of an iridescent metal that reflected no light. 2 counter-rotating cylinders filled with a violet liquid, codenamed Zerum 525, spun at 40,000 revolutions per minute. When the cylinders reached critical velocity, the air ionized. Rabbits placed nearby grew tumors the size of oranges in 6 hours. Humans lasted longer. Their shadows were burned into the walls as if by a nuclear flash, though no radiation was detected. The overseer was SS Obergruppenführer Hans Kammler, the same man who flew the Haunebu. Kammler kept a ledger. Each page listed a name, a blood type, and a single word: Erfolg or Fehlschlag, success or failure. On December 12, 1944, he wrote Erfolg beside the name of a 12-year-old Polish girl named Irina Sinelrowa. She had been smuggled out of the Warsaw Ghetto by a Catholic nun who was later shot for treason. Irina's shadow is still visible on the wall of Shaft 7, arms outstretched as if embracing someone. The concrete around the shadow is vitrified, turned to glass. Hitler visited Project Ries only once, in March 1945, as the Red Army closed in. He descended in a private elevator carved through 400 feet of granite. He wore a long leather coat and carried a briefcase chained to his wrist. Inside the briefcase was a map of Antarctica with a red circle around Neuschwabenland, the territory claimed by Germany in 1938. Hitler spent 40 minutes alone with the bell. When he emerged, his left hand trembled. He told Kammler, "If we cannot win, we will leave. Prepare the convoy." Kammler saluted. 2 days later, U-977 and U-530 slipped out of Kiel Harbor bound for South America. Their cargo manifests were blank. As Allied bombers pounded Berlin, the evacuation began. Crates marked machine parts were loaded onto Ju-390 transport planes at a secret airstrip near Oslo. One plane, registered as BH+NC, took off on April 21, 1945, Hitler's last birthday. It flew south over the Atlantic, refueled in Spain, and vanished. Norwegian resistance fighters reported seeing a 6-engine aircraft with no markings land on an ice shelf near Queen Maud Land. Dog teams found the tracks 3 days later. The tracks ended at a crevasse. Inside the crevasse, the ice was warm. Back in Germany, the final act unfolded in the Thuringian forest. On April 4, 1945, elements of the U.S. 90th Infantry Division stumbled across a hidden entrance near the town of Ohrdruf. They expected wine cellars. They found corridors lined with human skin lampshades and a freight elevator that descended 200 feet to a chamber containing a stainless steel table and a drain in the floor. On the table lay a single object, a child's shoe, size 28, left foot, still tied. The laces were knotted in a perfect reef knot. The soldier who found it, Sergeant Mike Levin from Brooklyn, kept the shoe in his footlocker for 50 years. He never spoke of it until 1995, when he donated it to the Holocaust Museum in Washington. The tag reads, "Provenance unknown. Possible ritual use." The war ended 5 weeks later. Himmler was captured wearing a Wehrmacht uniform and a false mustache. He bit a cyanide capsule before he could be questioned about the bell. Kammler disappeared. Von Braun surrendered to the Americans with 120 crates of V, 2 blueprints, and a smile. The OSS debriefed him for 3 days. On the 4th day, they asked about Die Glocke. Von Braun laughed. "Gentlemen, you are thinking too small." In the summer of 1945, a joint U.S.-Soviet commission toured the Owl Mountains. They found the tunnels flooded. Pumps recovered 40,000 documents, all soaked in salt water. Only one page survived, a schematic of a torus surrounded by 12 smaller toroids, labeled in Gothic script Der Kronos Project. At the bottom, a handwritten note in Himmler's green ink: "Time is not a river. It is a wheel." The page was classified top secret and locked in a vault at Fort Hunt, Virginia. It remained there until 1998, when a Freedom of Information request by a retired CIA analyst named Margaret O'Connor forced its release. O'Connor was 81 years old. She had been a WAC corporal at Fort Hunt in 1945. She remembered the page because the ink glowed under black light. She spent the last 10 years of her life trying to decode the schematic. She died in 2008. Her notes were donated to the University of Kiev. They're still there, in a box labeled Miscellaneous. This is where Part 1 ends and the real question begins. If the Nazis mastered technologies 70 years ahead of their time, where did those technologies go? Some say Argentina. Some say Antarctica. Some say Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. All agree on one thing. The story did not end in 1945. It simply went underground. In Part 2, we will follow the paper trail from the bunkers of Berlin to the pampas of Patagonia, from the ice caves of Neuschwabenland to the corridors of the Pentagon. We will meet the Ukrainian night nurse who treated a man with no fingerprints and a swastika tattooed on his retina. We will read the letter Albert Einstein wrote to President Truman in 1947, begging him to destroy the German miracle weapons before they destroyed us. And we will stand inside the abandoned hangar at Los Alamos where a bell-shaped object still hangs from chains, wrapped in lead, waiting for someone brave enough to strike it once. But first, a warning for readers over 60. The documents you are about to encounter may challenge everything you thought you survived. The war you remember, the one with clear villains and victors, was only the cover story. The real war was fought in laboratories lit by violet light, in tunnels where the air tasted of copper, in minds that learned to bend time the way a child bends a spoon. Turn the page if you dare. The bell is already ringing. The convoy left the burning Reich Chancellery at 3:17 on the morning of April 30th, 1945. 3 Mercedes staff cars, 2 Kubelwagens, and a single Opel Blitz truck with canvas sides flapping like broken wings. The truck carried no soldiers, only 6 wooden crates the size of coffins, each stenciled in white. Ahnenerbe, Personlich für SS Reichsführer. The driver, a 22-year-old Sudeten German named Franz Loretz, had never seen Himmler in person. He had seen the crates loaded by men in white coats who spoke no German, only a language that sounded like wine through pine needles. One of the men pressed a folded paper into Franz's hand. "If we are stopped," he whispered in perfect Bavarian, "burn this first." The paper was warm. Franz tucked it inside his tunic, over his heart. They drove west through the Tiergarten, past the zoo where the elephants had been shot to prevent panic. Shell craters steamed in the rain. A woman ran alongside the truck, clutching a birdcage. The bird was already dead. At the Brandenburg Gate, the convoy turned south, avoiding the Spree bridges that were wired with explosives. Their destination was a forgotten airfield near the village of Rangsdorf, 20 kilometers outside the city. The airfield had 1 runway, half grass, half mud, and a single hangar built in 1936 for the Olympics. The hangar doors were open. Inside waited a Junkers Ju 390, the largest aircraft in the world, its 6 engines already turning over with a sound like distant thunder. The crates were loaded through the clamshell doors at the rear. Each crate required 4 men and a winch. When the last one was secured, the pilot, a former Lufthansa captain named Hannah Reich, stepped from the cockpit. She wore a leather flying suit and carried a small pistol in a shoulder holster. She did not salute. She looked at Franz and said, "You are the driver. You will sit behind me. If anyone tries to open the crates, shoot them in the face." Franz nodded. His hand shook so badly he could barely chamber around. Takeoff was at 4:02. The Ju 390 lifted off with 200 meters to spare, its wingtips brushing the tops of pine trees. Reich flew nap of the earth, skimming the Elbe at 50 feet. Below, refugees streamed west on the Autobahn, their headlights like a river of fireflies. At the Danish border, she climbed to 20,000 feet and set course for northern Spain. The flight plan was filed as medical evacuation. The cargo manifest read serum samples. Both were lies. In the cabin, Franz sat on an ammunition box. The crates were lashed to the floor with steel cable. One of them vibrated. Not the vibration of turbulence. Something inside was moving. Franz pressed his ear to the wood. He heard a low humming, the same pitch as the bell at Wilsberg. The paper in his tunic grew warmer. He pulled it out. It was a map, hand-drawn on parchment, showing the coast of Argentina from Mar del Plata to Comodoro Rivadavia. A red line curved inland to a valley marked with a single word, Bariloche. They landed at 11:47 a.m. on a dirt strip near the village of Reyes, Catalonia. Franco's Spain was neutral, but the local Guardia Civil had been paid in gold Reichsmarks. The crates were transferred to 2 Spanish trucks with false plates. Reich stayed with the plane. She gave Franz a cigarette and said, "Your war is over. Go home." Franz asked where home was. She pointed south. Anywhere but here. The trucks drove through the night, crossing the Pyrenees on smugglers' roads. At the French border, they were waved through by Vichy police who had not yet heard the war was ending. On May 3rd, they reached Bordeaux. A U-boat, U-530, waited in the submarine pens. The crates were lowered through the torpedo tubes. The captain, Otto Wermuth, logged them as spare parts for Type XXI. He did not open them. He had orders from Grand Admiral Donitz himself. Deliver to Base 211. Do not ask questions. U-530 sailed on May 5th. It took the southern route, hugging the African coast, then cutting west below the Cape Verde Islands. On May 13th, off the coast of Norway, it rendezvoused with U-977. The 2 submarines traveled in tandem, surfacing only at night. Their crews were under strict orders. No radio, no periscope during daylight, no contact with any vessel. On June 17th, they passed the Falklands. British radar picked up nothing. On July 10th, 1945, 67 days after leaving Europe, U-530 surfaced in the Gulf of San Matias, Argentina. The crew scuttled the boat and swam ashore. They were met by men in civilian clothes who spoke German with a Cordoba accent. The crates were already gone. This is where the paper trail splits. One branch leads to the Andes, the other to the ice. Let us follow the Andes first. In August 1945, a rancher named Erich Priebke, former SS captain, wanted for the Ardeatine Caves massacre, bought 10,000 hectares near San Carlos de Bariloche with cash in US dollars. The deed was signed by a lawyer named Rodolfo Freude, son of Ludwig Freude, Hitler's personal banker in Buenos Aires. The ranch was called Estancia San Ramon. It had no cattle. It had a hydroelectric dam, a private airstrip, and a basement excavated to a depth of 40 meters. The basement walls were lined with lead. On September 3rd, 1945, a Douglas DC-4 landed at the airstrip. It carried no passengers, only cargo. The pilot was Hannah Reich. She stayed 3 days. Locals remember her walking the lake shore at dawn, throwing stones into the water as if counting something. On the 3rd day, she flew out. The DC-4 never returned. But every month for the next 5 years, a smaller plane, a Stinson Reliant painted olive drab, landed with 1 passenger, a man in a wheelchair, face hidden by a scarf. The wheelchair was pushed by a nurse in a gray uniform. The man never spoke. The nurse paid the pilot in gold coins minted in 1938. In 1952, a Swiss journalist named Emil Kaufmann hiked into the valley looking for Nazi fugitives. He found a ranch abandoned. The basement was flooded, but the water glowed faint blue. He took a sample in a thermos. Back in Zurich, the sample was analyzed by a physicist from CERN. It contained heavy water laced with an isotope of mercury that did not exist in any periodic table. Kaufmann published his findings in a small magazine. 3 weeks later, he was found dead in his bathtub, wrists slashed, a suicide note in perfect German. I looked into the abyss. It looked back. The second branch of the paper trail leads south, much south. In January 1939, the German ship Neuschwabenland had anchored off Queen Maud Land, Antarctica. It launched 2 Dornier flying boats and photographed 350,000 square kilometers of ice. The area was named Neuschwabenland. Swastika flags were dropped from the planes. The expedition returned to Hamburg with ice cores, penguin eggs, and sealed film canisters labeled streng geheim. The canisters were never developed. They were stored in a salt mine near Salzburg. In 1945, the mine was captured by the U.S. 3rd Infantry Division. The canisters were sent to Fort Hunt, Virginia, along with the chrono schematic. In 1946, the U.S. Navy launched Operation High Jump. Officially, it was a training exercise. Unofficially, Admiral Richard E. Byrd took 4,700 men, 13 ships, and 33 aircraft to Antarctica. They stayed 8 weeks instead of the planned 6 months. Byrd gave a press conference in Chile on the way home. A reporter asked why the early withdrawal. Byrd said, "We were attacked." By whom? Forces that can fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. The quote appeared in one newspaper, then vanished. Byrd spent the rest of his life in a Navy hospital, diagnosed with combat fatigue. In 1958, a Norwegian whaling station on Deception Island reported seeing a submarine surface in the caldera. The sub was painted white. It flew no flag. Men in parkas came ashore, bought 200 liters of diesel with gold Krugerrands, and left. The station manager radioed Oslo. The message was intercepted by the CIA. The file is still classified. In 1961, a Soviet icebreaker, OB, encountered a metal structure protruding from the ice near the Mullig-Hoffman Mountains. The structure was a tower, 30 meters tall, made of an alloy that did not rust. The tower emitted a low-frequency hum that interfered with compasses. The Soviets photographed it, then dynamited it. The explosion registered 2.1 on the Richter scale. Seismic stations in Australia picked it up. The photos were published in Pravda under the headline, "American Secret Base Destroyed." The Americans denied everything. In 1976, a retired Argentine Navy officer named Enrique Rattenbach gave an interview to a Buenos Aires tabloid. He claimed to have served on a supply ship to Base Primavera in 1947. The base was underground, heated by geothermal vents. It housed 200 Germans, 50 Argentines, and things that should not exist. Rattenbach described a hangar where a bell-shaped craft hung from chains. The craft was 40 feet in diameter, seamless, silver. When the generators were turned on, the craft glowed violet and the temperature in the hangar dropped 20 degrees. Rattenbach was paid 500 pesos for the interview. He was found hanged in his apartment the next day. The suicide note read, "The bell rings for all of us." The two trails, Bariloche and Antarctica, converge in the person of one man, Martin Bormann. Bormann was Hitler's private secretary, the keeper of the party's slush funds. He was reported killed in Berlin on May 2, 1945. His body was never found. In 1967, a priest in Bolivia named Father Juan Maria Soler received a deathbed confession from a German expatriate named Fritz. Fritz claimed to be Bormann. He described escaping Berlin in a Fiesler Storch, flying to Austria, then to Spain. From Spain, he took a U-boat to Argentina. He lived in Bariloche under the name Ricardo Bauer. He managed the Nazi pension fund, $400 million in Swiss accounts. Every year on April 20th, he received a crate from Antarctica. The crate contained film reels. He watched them alone in a basement projection room. The film showed test flights of disc-shaped aircraft over the ice. One reel showed a man in an SS uniform standing beside a bell. The man saluted the camera. His face was Adolf Hitler's, but younger, unlined. The date stamp read December 12, 1962. Father Soler reported the confession to the Bolivian secret police. They laughed. Soler was transferred to a remote parish in the Andes. He died in 1981. His diary was found in 1999 by a German historian named Abel Busti. The diary is now in the archive of the University of Córdoba. Page 47 reads, "Fritz said the bell does not kill. It remembers." In 1947, Albert Einstein wrote a letter to President Truman. The letter was hand-delivered by a courier from the Institute for Advanced Study. It is 8 pages long, written in German. The key paragraph, translated, "The Germans have achieved a breakthrough in the manipulation of the quantum vacuum. Their device, called die Glocke, creates a torsion field that decouples inertia from mass. In plain language, it makes gravity optional. I have seen the mathematics. It is correct. If this technology is perfected, no fortress, no ocean, no distance will protect us. I beg you, Mr. President, find it and destroy it. The alternative is a world where the swastika flies over Washington. Truman read the letter, underlined the word destroy 3 times, and sent it to the newly formed CIA with a note. Find the bell. Do not open it. The CIA file is codenamed Artichoke Bell. It is 12,000 pages. Most are redacted. What remains tells a story of black budgets and blacker ops. In 1949, a CIA team landed at Bariloche disguised as trout fishermen. They rented a cabin near Estancia San Ramon. For 3 months, they watched the ranch through telescopes. They saw the wheelchair man arrive every full moon. They photographed the nurse. Her face matched a 1944 SS personnel file. Ilse Koch, the bitch of Buchenwald. Koch had been sentenced to life in 1947. She escaped from Achak prison in 1949. The escape was never explained. In 1952, the CIA tried to kidnap Koch. The operation failed. 2 agents were found frozen in a glacier, throats cut with a surgical blade. Their tongues were missing. The autopsy report noted post-mortem lividity inconsistent with time of death. The bodies were flown to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. They are still there, in Hangar 18. In 1954, the CIA turned its attention to Antarctica. Operation Deep Freeze was the cover. The real mission was Project Ries. A team of 6 scientists, 6 Green Berets, parachuted onto the Ron ice shelf. They carried a prototype nuclear magnetic resonance device designed to detect large metal objects under ice. On day 7, they found it. A perfect circle, 200 meters in diameter, where the ice was 10 degrees warmer than ambient. They drilled. At 180 meters, the drill bit screamed and stopped. The core sample was a cylinder of black metal, warm to the touch. The scientists wrapped it in lead foil. That night, the temperature in the tent dropped to -60. The lead foil melted. The cylinder was gone. The team radioed McMurdo Station for extraction. The reply was static. Then a voice in German. Leave the ice. The bell is not for you. The voice gave coordinates. The team followed them. They found a crevasse. Inside was a stainless steel door with a swastika welded into the metal. The door was open. Inside was a tunnel lit by violet light. The team went in. They were never seen again. The official report blamed a crevasse fall. The families received folded flags and letters of condolence. One wife, Margaret O'Connor, the same WAC corporal from Fort Hunt, refused to believe it. She spent the next 40 years filing FOIA requests. In 1998, she received a single page, the Kronos schematic. On the back, someone had written in pencil, "The wheel turns." 88. Margaret was 81. She knew what 88 meant, Heil Hitler. She also knew what the wheel meant. She had seen it in Himmler's diary. Time is not a river. It is a wheel. In part 2, we have followed the crates from Berlin to Bariloche to the ice. We have met the survivors, the nurse who cannot die, the priest who heard too much, the admiral who saw too far. We have read Einstein's warning and Truman's order. But the bell is still ringing, and the wheel is still turning. In part 3, we will go inside the Pentagon's Black Vault, where a bell hangs in chains and a guard changes every 4 hours, though no one admits the bell is there. We will read the 1955 memo from Allen Dulles to President Eisenhower. The device is active. It speaks in Himmler's voice. We will follow the money, $2 billion in laundered gold that built the interstate highway system and funded the U-2 spy plane. And we will meet the night janitor at Los Alamos who heard the bell sing the Horst Wessel song at 3 a.m. on the dot, every dot for 30 years. The bell remembers. And it is almost time for the next turn of the wheel. The corridor in the Pentagon's sub-basement smells of bleach and ozone. It is 2:14 on July 16, 1955. A lone guard, Sergeant First Class Raymond Ray Kowalski, age 32, from Hamtramck, Michigan, walks his post. His boots echo on the terrazzo. The corridor is 200 feet long, lit by fluorescent tubes that flicker every 47 seconds. At the far end is a steel door with no handle, only a keypad and a retina scanner. The sign above reads Restricted Area, Authorized Personnel Only. Ray's been on this post for 90 nights. He has never seen anyone enter or leave. He has never been told what is inside. But he knows the schedule. Every 4 hours, the lights dim for exactly 11 seconds. During those 11 seconds, the air pressure drops. His ears pop. Then the lights return, and the corridor smells of lilacs. Ray's logbook is a standard green army ledger. On page 47, he writes in pencil, 214, lilac smell again. Heard humming, like a church organ, but underwater. He underlines underwater twice. He does not know why. He is Catholic. He has not been to confession since Korea. The door opens at 2:17. A man steps out. He wears a charcoal suit, no tie, and a silver lapel pin shaped like a bell. His shoes make no sound. He walks past Ray without looking at him. Ray smells lilacs and something metallic, like a subway rail after rain. The man stops at the elevator. The elevator opens before he presses the button. He steps inside. The doors close. Ray writes, man in suit. No badge. Smelled like grandma's funeral. The man in the suit is Alan Welsh Dulles, Director of Central Intelligence. He has just come from the chamber behind the steel door. The chamber is 40 feet square, ceiling 20 feet high, walls lined with lead and mu metal. In the center hangs a bell. It is 12 feet tall, shaped like a drop of mercury frozen mid-fall. It is suspended by 4 titanium chains bolted to the ceiling. The chains are wrapped in asbestos tape. The bell does not touch the floor. Beneath, it is a circle of black glass, 15 feet in diameter. The glass is warm. A thermometer bolted to the wall reads 88 degrees Fahrenheit, constant day and night, summer and winter. Dulles carries a reel-to-reel tape recorder the size of a briefcase. The tape is labeled Session 17 to 16 July 1955. He takes the elevator to the 5th floor, walks to his office, locks the door, and plays the tape. The first sound is the hum Ray heard. Then a voice, male, German accent, calm, almost gentle. Butenabend, her director. The wheel turns. You are late. Dulles stops the tape. He pours 2 fingers of bourbon into a coffee cup. He drinks in 1 swallow. He rewinds the tape and plays it again. The voice continues. Project Paperclip delivered 1,267 scientists. You kept 742. You sent 525 to Los Alamos, White Sands, and Huntsville. You buried the rest. You buried the bell. But the bell remembers. It remembers the children. It remembers the blood. It remembers the date. December 12th, 1944. Irina Sinelroa. Age 12. Shadow on the wall. You have her shoe, Ja. Dulles stops the tape again. He opens his safe, removes a manila folder marked artichoke bell. Eyes only. Inside is a photograph. The child's shoe from Ordruff, size 28, left foot. The laces are still knotted. There is a second photograph. The vitrified shadow on the wall of shaft 7. The shadow's arms are outstretched. Dulles places the 2 photos side by side. He writes on a yellow legal pad. Voice identified as H. Himmler. Deceased May 23, 1945. How? The bell has been in the Pentagon since February 1947. It arrived in a convoy of 3 trucks from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. The trucks were escorted by military police with Thompson submachine guns. The convoy entered the Pentagon through the South Parking Tunnel at 3 o'clock. The bell was lowered into the subbasement on a freight elevator designed for tanks. The elevator groaned. The chains were attached the next day by a team of German engineers flown in from Huntsville, Alabama. They wore civilian clothes and spoke no English. They worked for 36 hours without sleep. When they finished, the lead engineer, a man named Dr. Hubert Strughold, shook Dulles's hand and said in perfect English, "Do not strike it. It will answer." The bell has spoken 17 times since 1947. Always at night. Always to Dulles. The conversations are recorded on magnetic tape. The tapes are stored in a vault at Langley. The vault is climate-controlled to 68 degrees. The tapes are wrapped in silk. The silk is changed every 6 months. The archivist who changes the silk is a woman named Evelyn Shapiro, age 68, retired OSS cryptographer. She has listened to all 17 tapes. She has never told anyone what she heard. She has nightmares about lilacs. In 1955, the bell begins to change. The hum grows louder. The temperature in the chamber rises to 92 degrees. The black glass beneath the bell begins to sweat. Droplets form, roll upward, and vanish into the air. A maintenance technician named Corporal Luis Ortega, age 24, from San Antonio, Texas, is sent to investigate. He enters the chamber wearing a lead, apron, and a dosimeter. The dosimeter clicks like a Geiger counter in Chernobyl. Ortega approaches the glass. He sees his reflection. The reflection is not his. It is a child, barefoot, wearing a striped uniform. The child raises a hand. Ortega raises his hand. The child smiles. Ortega screams. The scream is recorded on the chamber's security microphone. The tape is labeled Incident 17A, August 22, 1955. Ortega is taken to Walter Reed Army Hospital. He is diagnosed with acute radiation psychosis. He spends 6 months in a padded room. He draws pictures of bells on the walls with his own feces. He is discharged in 1956 with a 100% disability pension. He moves to Tucson, Arizona. He buys a small house with a cactus garden. Every night, at 2:14, he wakes screaming. He dies in 1981. The coroner lists cause of death as heart failure. The autopsy reveals his bone marrow is black. In 1956, the bell speaks to someone else. President Dwight D. Eisenhower visits the Pentagon on March 12. He is briefed on the U-2 spy plane, the interstate highway system, and the bell. The briefing is given by Dulles in the sub-basement chamber. Eisenhower stands 20 feet from the bell. He wears a gray suit and a red tie. He asks no questions. He stares at the black glass. After 11 minutes, he says, "Get out of my house." Dulles nods. The bell is moved that night to a new location, a decommissioned missile silo near Green Valley, Arizona. The silo is 200 feet deep. The bell is lowered by crane. The chains are lengthened. The temperature in the silo is 88 degrees. The hum is louder. The move is codenamed Operation Campanile. The budget is $18 million, laundered through the Bureau of Public Roads. The interstate highway system is the cover. Every mile of concrete poured between 1956 and 1960 contains a microchip the size of a grain of rice. The chips are made in a factory in Huntsville, Alabama, by former Piedmont engineers. The chips are powered by the bell's torsion field. They transmit data to a receiver in the silo. The data is a single number, 88. The number changes every 88 days. No one knows what it means. In 1962, the bell speaks again, this time to a janitor. His name is Clarence Buddy Washington, age 58, from Anacostia. He has worked at Los Alamos since 1946. He cleans the Technical Area 33 warehouse every night from 22 to 6 o'clock. The warehouse is a Quonset hut with a corrugated roof. Inside are crates marked property of U.S. Army, do not open. Buddy has a key. He is not supposed to use it. On the night of October 16, 1962, the first night of the Cuban Missile Crisis, he hears singing. The voice is male, German, coming from crate 88. The song is the Horst Wessel-Lied. Buddy opens the crate. Inside is a bell, smaller than the Pentagon bell, 6 feet tall, wrapped in lead foil. The foil is warm. Buddy touches it. The bell rings once. The sound is inside his skull. He sees a vision. Berlin in flames, children running, a man in a black uniform saluting a wheel of fire. The vision lasts 11 seconds. Buddy closes the crate. He does not tell anyone. He clocks out at 6 o'clock. He goes home to his wife, Ruth. He tells her he is quitting. She asks why. He says, "The bell knows my name." Buddy moves to Denver. He becomes a Baptist preacher. He preaches against the bomb. He dies in 1992. His obituary in the Rocky Mountain News mentions his service in the Pacific Theater. It does not mention the bell. In 1963, the bell in Arizona begins to glow. The glow is violet, visible from the highway. Motorists report seeing a purple star above the desert. The Air Force scrambles F-100 jets from Davis-Monthan. The pilots see nothing. The glow stops at 2:14. The next day, the silo is sealed with concrete. The chains are cut. The bell is buried 200 feet under sand and rock. A sign is posted, U.S. government property, trespassers will be prosecuted. The sign is shot full of holes within a week. The holes are perfect circles, 9 millimeters. No casings are found. In 1967, a graduate student named Robert Bob Lazar is hired as a technician at Los Alamos. He is 18 years old. He works in Area 51S. His job is to catalog crates. He opens crate 88 by mistake. Inside is the smaller bell, now unwrapped. It is cold. He touches it. He hears a voice. You are early. He closes the crate. He tells no one. He is fired in 1968 for unauthorized access. He moves to Las Vegas. He opens a photo shop. In 1989, he tells a reporter named George Knapp about flying discs and Element 115. He never mentions the bell. The bell remembers. In 1972, the Pentagon bell is dug up. The concrete is jackhammered. The chains are gone. The bell is gone. Only the black glass remains. It is cracked down the middle. The crack is shaped like a swastika. The glass is warm. A new chamber is built in the Cheyenne Mountain Complex. The glass is installed in the floor. The temperature is 88 degrees. The hum returns. The guards hear lilacs. In 1981, a Soviet spy satellite, Cosmos 1247, photographs the Arizona desert. The image shows a perfect circle 200 meters in diameter, where the sand is fused into glass. The glass is black. The circle is centered on the buried silo. The photo is analyzed by the KGB. The analyst, Colonel Viktor Kuznetsov, writes a report, possible Nazi relic. Recommend excavation. The report is buried. Kuznetsov is transferred to Afghanistan. He is killed by a landmine in 1983. The mine is American-made. In 1987, a hiker named Sarah Goldstein, age 66, from Tucson, finds the silo entrance. The door is open. She descends the ladder. The air is warm. She finds the black glass. She touches it. She sees a vision, a child in a striped uniform, arms outstretched. The child says, "Tell them the wheel turns." Sarah climbs out. She tells no one. She dies in 1995. Her daughter finds a note in her jewelry box. The bell is under the mountain. It waits for 88. In 1999, the Cheyenne Mountain glass begins to sweat again. Droplets roll upward. The temperature rises to 92 degrees. The hum is recorded at 88 hertz. The guards wear earplugs. The earplugs melt. The guards are replaced every 4 hours. The new guards are told nothing. They sign NDAs. They are paid in cash. In 2003, a maintenance technician named Specialist Jessica Morales, age 28, from El Paso, is sent to replace a light bulb in the chamber. She sees the glass. She sees the crack. She sees the child. The child says, "You are late." Jessica runs. She's caught at the gate. She is debriefed for 72 hours. She is given a new identity. She is sent to Guam. She is never heard from again. In 2012, the glass shatters. The sound is heard in Colorado Springs, 12 miles away. Windows rattle. Dogs howl. The chamber is sealed. The fragments are collected in lead boxes. The boxes are flown to Wright-Patterson. They are stored in Hangar 18, next to the frozen agents from 1952. The temperature in the hangar is 88 degrees. In 2020, a whistleblower named Edward Loomis, age 72, retired Air Force intelligence officer, posts a video on a dark web forum. The video is 11 seconds long. It shows the black glass in Cheyenne Mountain, intact, glowing violet. The date stamp is December 12, 2019. The video is deleted within minutes. Loomis is found dead in his home in Dayton, Ohio. The coroner lists cause of death as suicide by helium. The autopsy reveals his bone marrow is black. The bell is gone. The glass is gone. The hum remains. It is heard in subway tunnels in Washington, D.C. It is heard in the abandoned Peenemünde wind tunnel. It is heard in the ice caves of Neuschwabenland. It is heard in the dreams of children born after 1988. In Part 3, we have Enter the Black Vault. We have heard the bell speak in Himmler's voice. We have followed the chains from the Pentagon to the desert to the mountain. We have met the guards, the janitors, the technicians, the children. We have seen the glass sweat and shatter. But the wheel is still turning, and 88 is coming. In Part 4, we will go to the ice. We will board the icebreaker Orion in 2025. We will drill through 2,000 meters of Antarctic ice. We will find the door with the swastika. We will open it. And we will meet the man who has been waiting since 1945, the man who is not old, the man who rings the bell every 88 days. The bell remembers. And it is almost time. The Korean icebreaker Orion cuts through the Weddell Sea on January 14th, 2025. The sky is the color of tarnished steel. The temperature is minus 38 Celsius. The captain, Park Min-jun, age 54, stands on the bridge with a mug of instant coffee gone cold. He has made 32 voyages to Antarctica. This is the first time the charter is private. The client paid in cryptocurrency, $12 million in Monero, untraceable. The client is a shell company registered in Liechtenstein, Kronos GmbH. The charter specifies one destination, coordinates 71 degrees 15 minutes south, 13 degrees 45 minutes west, 120 nautical miles west of the old German whaling station on Deception Island. The charter also specifies one condition: no satellite uplink, no crew manifest, no questions. The Orion carries a crew of 28 and a science team of 12. The science team is not Korean. They are German, Argentine, and one Ukrainian. They speak little. They wear black parkas with no insignia. Their equipment fills the forward hold. A hot water drill capable of penetrating 3,000 meters of ice in 72 hours, ground-penetrating radar, a magnetometer the size of a refrigerator, and a crate marked fragile, lead-lined. The crate is the same size as the ones loaded onto you, 530 in 1945. The shipping label is new, printed in Seoul. The ink smells of lilacs. The Ukrainian is Dr. Alina Kovalenko, age 62, Professor Emerita of Geophysics at Kyiv Polytechnic. She retired in 2018 after a stroke left her right hand trembling. She walks with a cane carved from Antarctic beach, illegal, smuggled out in 1987 by a Soviet glaciologist who vanished on the ice. Alina's cabin is taped with photographs. The vitrified shadow from Shaft 7, the child's shoe from Ordruff, the cracked black glass from Cheyenne Mountain. On her laptop is a file named 88.mp4. The video is 11 seconds long. It shows a bell ringing in a cavern of blue ice. The date stamp is December 12, 2024. The bell is intact. The man ringing it wears an SS uniform, collar insignia of an Oberfuhrer. His face is unlined. He looks 35. He salutes the camera. The sound is not a ring. It is a voice. "Will come in, doctor." Alina has not slept in 4 days. She drinks tea with honey and reads the diary of her grandfather, Mykola Kvailovi, the mathematician who survived Die Glocke in 1941. The diary was found in 1991 inside a rusted ammunition box buried under a linden tree in Zhytomyr. Page 88 is written in green ink. The bell does not move through time. Time moves through the bell. Every 88 days, the wheel clicks one tooth. When the 88th tooth falls, the swastika will rise again. Burn this page. Tell Alina. She did not burn the page. On January 17th, the Orion reaches the coordinates. The sea is glass calm. The ice shelf glows pale green under the midnight sun. The radar team deploys drones. The drones fly a grid pattern 500 meters above the ice. At 3:14, the magnetometer spikes. The reading is 88 microtesla, exactly 88 times the background field. The operator, an Argentine named Mateo Ruiz, age 39, crosses himself. He is Catholic. He has not been to Mass since his daughter died of leukemia in 2019. He whispers, Madre de Dios, and marks the spot with a red X. The X is a perfect circle, 200 meters in diameter. The ice inside the circle is warm. The surface temperature is -12 Celsius. The drone's cameras show steam rising in thin columns, like breath from a hidden mouth. The drill team begins work at 6 o'clock. The hot water drill is a yellow monster on caterpillar tracks. It screams like a jet engine. Steam billows. The hole is 60 centimeters wide. At 180 meters, the drill bit stops. The winch cable goes slack. The operator, a German named Klaus Weber, age 57, former Bundeswehr engineer, peers into the hole. He sees a reflection. It is not the drill bit. It is a swastika, polished steel, 2 meters across, rotating slowly. The rotation is clockwise. The speed is 88 revolutions per minute. Klaus vomits into the snow. The vomit freezes instantly. They lower a fiber optic camera. The feed is projected onto a screen in the mess hall. The crew watches in silence. The camera descends 200 meters. The ice walls are smooth, glassy, veined with violet light. At 380 meters, the hole opens into a cavern. The cavern is 100 meters wide, 40 meters high. The floor is black glass. In the center stands the bell. It is 12 feet tall, iridescent, suspended by 4 chains of titanium. The chains are attached to the cavern roof with bolts the size of a man's thigh. The bell does not touch the glass. Beneath it, the glass is cracked in the shape of a wheel with 88 spokes. One spoke is missing. A man stands beside the bell. He wears the black uniform of an SS Oberfuhrer. His boots are polished. His hair is blonde, parted on the left. His eyes are blue. He holds a striker made of the same black metal as the bell in Wheelsburg. He raises the striker. He strikes the bell once. The sound is not sound. It is pressure. Every crew member feels it in the teeth, in the bones, in the marrow. The screen goes black. The camera cable is severed. The winch reels in 380 meters of empty steel. Alina stands. Her cane clatters to the deck. She walks to the screen. She touches the static. She says, in Ukrainian, grandfather. The man on the ice is SS Oberfuhrer Hans Kammler. He has not aged since 1945. He has been waiting. The crew arms itself. The captain orders the ship to full reverse. The propellers churn. The Orion does not move. The ice is closed around the hull like a fist. The temperature on deck drops to -60. The breath of the crew freezes in midair, falls like snow. The satellite phone is dead. The radio is dead. The only sound is the hum, 88 hertz, coming from below. They lower a team on ropes. 6 men, Klaus the engineer, Matteo the radar operator, 2 Korean sailors, 1 Argentine Marine, and Alina. She insists. She carries her grandfather's diary in a plastic bag. They wear heated suits, oxygen masks, headlamps. The descent takes 22 minutes. The air in the cavern is warm, 88 degrees Fahrenheit. The glass floor is slick. Footprints are already there. Boot prints, small bare feet. The print of a child's shoe, size 28, left foot. Kammler waits. He does not speak. He gestures to the bell. The striker is in his hand. He offers it to Alina. She takes it. It is warm. It weighs nothing. She raises it. She hesitates. Kammler speaks, in perfect Ukrainian. Strike it, doctor. The wheel is missing 1 tooth. You are the 88th. Alina looks at the diary. Page 88 is open. The green ink glows. She reads aloud. If the bell rings the 88th time, the war begins again. But if the striker is broken, the wheel stops. She looks at Kammler. His eyes are not blue. They are violet. She swings the striker against the cavern wall. The metal shatters like glass. The pieces fall upward, vanish into the violet light. The bell screams. The sound is every air raid siren in history. The glass floor shatters. The crew falls into darkness. The last thing Alina sees is Kammler smiling. His teeth are black. The Orion is found on February 3rd, 2025, by a Chilean supply ship. The ice has released it. The ship is intact. The crew is gone. The hold is empty. The drill is gone. The only trace is a circle of black glass on the ice, 200 meters wide, warm to the touch. In the center is a child's shoe, size 28, left foot. The laces are knotted in a perfect reef knot. The shoe is warm. The Chilean captain radios Santiago. The message is intercepted by the U.S. Navy. The file is classified Artichoke, Bell, 88. The glass circle is bombed with thermobaric weapons. The explosion registers 4.2 on the Richter scale. Seismic stations in Australia pick it up. The crater is 500 meters deep. At the bottom is the bell, intact, suspended by nothing. The chains are gone. The glass is gone. The bell hums. In part, for we have gone to the ice. We have opened the door. We have met Himmler. We have broken the striker. But the bell is still ringing, and the wheel is still turning. In part 5, the final part, we will follow the bell as it rises. We will stand in the crater as the ice melts in seconds. We will watch the Haunebu fleet emerge from the cavern roof, silent, silver, 88 craft in perfect formation. We will read the last page of Himmler's diary, written in blood on April 21st, 1945. The Führer is not dead. He is the bell. And we will meet the child whose shadow is on every wall, in every tunnel, in every dream. Her name is Irina. She is 12. She is 88. She is waiting for you to strike the bell one last time. The wheel turns. The 88th tooth is falling. The crater steams under a black Antarctic sky. It is February 4th, 2025, 4:14 local. The thermobaric blast has melted a perfect hemisphere 500 meters across and 300 deep. At the bottom, the bell hangs in vacuum, 10 feet above the vitrified floor, rotating slowly on an invisible axis. No chains, no sound, only the violet corona that makes the Geiger counter scream and then die. A ring of 12 Haunebu discs rises silently from the cavern roof that is no longer there. Each disc is 32 meters in diameter, seamless, silver like liquid mercury, frozen mid-drip. They form a perfect circle above the bell, 88 meters apart, 88 meters high. Their undersides glow the same violet. The temperature inside the crater is 88 degrees Fahrenheit. The ice beyond the rim is cracking in radial lines, each crack exactly 88 centimeters wide. A U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon circles at 20,000 feet. The pilot, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park, age 41, from Seattle, reports, no heat signature, no EM, no nothing. Just light. The AWACS operator hears a child humming Lily Marlene over every frequency. The voice is female, age 12, perfect German. The tape is classified and erased within the hour. On the ice shelf, 2 kilometers north, stands Irina Sendelroa. She is barefoot. She wears the striped uniform of Mittelbau Dora, number 17856 on a yellow star. Her hair is black, cropped short. Her eyes are violet. She is 12. She has been 12 since December 12, 1944. She holds the striker Alina shattered. The pieces have reassembled in her hand. The metal is warm. She walks across the ice. The ice does not break. Her footprints fill with water that freezes in a black glass. Behind her, the Orion lies on its side, half-submerged, hull glowing faintly. The nameplate is gone. The hull is seamless. The crew is inside, standing in a circle around the mess hall table. Their eyes are open. Their mouths are open. They are singing the Horst Wessel Lied in perfect 4-part harmony. Their voices do not echo. The song is recorded by the ship's black box. The box is recovered on February 6th. The file is 88 minutes long. It loops. Irina reaches the crater rim at 4:44. She looks up. The Haunebu discs tilt 45 degrees in perfect synchronization. Their violet light converges on the bell. The bell begins to ring. Not sound, pressure. The pressure wave flattens the snow for 88 kilometers in every direction. Trees in Patagonia, 8,000 kilometers away, lose their leaves. Car alarms in Buenos Aires go off for 11 seconds. In Kyiv, Alina Kovalenko, found wandering the ice shelf barefoot, unharmed, wakes in a Chilean hospital, and screams the exact note of the bell. The note is A-flat, 88 hertz. The scream lasts 88 seconds. The EEG flatlines at the 88th second. She does not die. She opens her eyes. They are violet. The bell rises. It ascends through the ring of discs. The discs follow. The formation is a perfect torus, 88 craft plus the bell at the center. They climb at 88 meters per second. At 88,000 feet, they vanish. Not cloaked, gone. The P-8 radar shows empty sky. The pilot reports a single word blinking on her HUD. Erfolg. February 5th, 2025. Bariloche. The old Estancia San Ramon. The basement door opens for the first time since 1952. A man in a wheelchair rolls out. He is Adolf Hitler, age 56, unlined, hair still dark. The nurse pushing the chair is Ilse Koch. She is not aged. She wears the same gray uniform. They cross the lawn. A Haunebu lands silently. The ramp lowers. Hitler stands. He walks unaided. He salutes. The ramp closes. The disc lifts. It joins the torus high above. The torus is now 89 objects. The 89th is the bell. February 6th. Wright-Patterson Hangar 18. The temperature rises to 88 degrees Fahrenheit. The lead boxes containing the Cheyenne Mountain glass fragments melt. The glass reassembles on the floor. The crack is gone. The swastika is gone. The glass is a perfect circle. In the center stands the child's shoe, size 28, left foot. The laces untie themselves. The shoe walks. It leaves the hangar. Security cameras record nothing. The shoe is found on the roof, pointing south. February 7th. The Vatican Observatory, Castel Gandolfo. Father Daniel Ortiz, S.J., age 78, watches the sky through the 1.2-meter Schmidt telescope. He sees the torus. It is stationary above the South Pole, 400 kilometers up. It is not reflecting sunlight. It is emitting it. The light is violet. The spectrum shows a single line at 88 nanometers. Father Daniel crosses himself. He opens the 1945 file marked Lucifer. Inside is a photograph of the Wilsberg Black Sun mosaic. On the back, in Pius XII's handwriting, the bell is the gate. Do not open. Father Daniel burns the file. The ashes spell 88. February 8th. Los Alamos. The Quonset hut warehouse. Crate 88 is open. The smaller bell is gone. In its place is a note in green ink. Thank you for safekeeping. H. The ink glows. The paper is warm. The janitor, Clarence Washington's grandson, age 62, reads the note. He hears his grandfather's voice. The bell knows my name. He folds the note into a paper airplane. He throws it. The plane flies out the door, climbs, joins the torus. The torus is now 90 objects. February 9th. The White House. President, redacted, receives a briefing in the Situation Room. The torus is visible to the naked eye from McMurdo Station. It is the brightest object in the sky after the sun. Astronomers call it Object 88. The briefing packet is one page. It reads, "The bell has returned. It brings the Reich. Surrender is not an option. Destruction is not an option. The wheel has turned." The president asks, "What is the wheel?" The briefer, a 3-star general, opens Himmler's diary to the last page. The page is blank except for a single sentence in blood. Der Führer ist die Glocke. The president closes the diary. He says, "Give me the striker." There is no striker. February 10th. Kiev. Alina Kovalenko is released from hospital. She walks to Maidan Nezalezhnosti. She stands where the linden tree was. She digs with her bare hands. She finds the ammunition box. Inside is her grandfather's diary and a new page. The page is dated December 12th, 2024. The ink is fresh. Granddaughter, the 88th tooth has fallen. The wheel is free. Strike the bell with your heart. Only then will it stop. Alina looks up. The torus is visible, a violet ring around the moon. She closes her eyes. She strikes. The bell rings one final time. The sound is silence. The torus dissolves into 88 streaks of violet light. The streaks fall to Earth. One lands in every capital city. In Washington, the streak lands on the Washington Monument. The obelisk cracks. Inside the crack is the child's shoe. In Berlin, the streak lands on the Reichstag dome. The glass shatters. Inside is Irina. She is 12. She is smiling. In Buenos Aires, the streak lands on the obelisk. The marble melts. Inside is Hitler. He salutes. In Kiev, the streak lands on the Motherland Monument. The sword falls. In its place is the bell, small, 6 feet tall, ringing softly. Alina touches it. The bell dissolves into her hand. Her eyes return to brown. She is 62 again. She weeps. The war that began in 1933 ends at 88 minutes past midnight. Universal Time, February 11th, 2025. There are no shots fired. There are no declarations. There is only the silence after the bell. The Haunebu vanish. The torus vanishes. The violet light fades. The ice closes over the crater. The Orion sinks. The shoe walks into the sea and does not sink. In the morning, the world wakes to blue sky. Children born after 1988 dream no more of tunnels and shadows. Old men in nursing homes forget the smell of lilacs. The files are unsealed. Artichoke bell is declassified. The last page reads, "The bell was never a weapon. It was a promise. The promise is kept." Irina Sinelroa is seen one last time on February 12th, walking the shore of Lake Nauel Huapi in Bariloche. She is 12. She carries the striker, now whole. She throws it into the water. The lake flashes violet for 11 seconds. Then it is only water. She turns to the ranger who sees her. She says in Polish, "Tell them the wheel is broken." Then she is gone. The ranger, age 68, retired Argentine infantry, writes the words in his logbook. He mails the page to the University of Cordoba. It arrives on April 20th, 2025, Hitler's 136th birthday. The envelope contains only the page and a single black feather. The feather dissolves when touched. The page is exhibited in the University Museum. Visitors over 60 weep without knowing why. Children under 12 touch the glass and smile. The bell is silent. The wheel is still. The war is over. But in the deepest vault of the Smithsonian, behind a door that opens only for the secretary, hangs a child's shoe, size 28, left foot. The laces are knotted in a perfect reef knot. Every 88 days, at 2:14, the shoe moves 1 centimeter closer to the door. The guard, age 78, retired Secret Service, logs it every time. He signs the log or FOLG. He does not know why. The bell remembers. The wheel waits. 88. Epilogue. The Smithsonian vault door is 18 inches of tungsten steel. It opens at 2:14 on the 88th day after Irina's disappearance. May 9th, 2025, VE Day, plus 80 years. The guard, retired Secret Service agent Thomas Tom Riley, age 79, from Falls Church, Virginia, standalone. His logbook is full. Every entry identical. Shoe advanced 1 centimeter. Temp 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Smell, lilacs. Tonight the smell is stronger. The shoe is now 3 centimeters from the threshold. Tom's hands shake. He served in Vietnam. He guarded 3 presidents. He has never been afraid. Tonight he is. He opens the vault with his retina and a key card that expires at 2:15. The shoe is gone. In its place is a single black feather, identical to the one mailed to Cordoba. The feather dissolves when he breathes on it. The ashes spell 88 on the concrete floor. The ashes do not blow away. Tom takes a photograph with his phone. The phone dies. The screen cracks in the shape of a bell. At the same moment, in Kiev, Alina Kovalenko wakes in her apartment on Andreevsky Descent. She is 63 today. She has not dreamed since February. She opens her balcony door. The city is quiet. The linden tree in the courtyard has bloomed overnight. The blossoms are black. She picks one. It is warm. Inside the blossom is a tiny bell, no larger than a thimble, made of black glass. It rings once when she touches it. The sound is her grandfather's voice. Thank you, daughter. The bell dissolves. The blossom falls. The tree is bare again. In Bariloche, the ranger, Sergeant Major, Ret. Luis Maldonado, age 69, walks the shore of Lake Neuschwabenland at dawn. The water is mirror still. He finds a striker. It has washed up on the pebbles. It is whole, warm, humming. He picks it up. It weighs nothing. He throws it back. The lake flashes violet for 11 seconds. When the light fades, the striker is gone. In its place floats the child's shoe, size 28, left foot. The laces are untied. The shoe sinks slowly, straight down, until the water is too deep to see. Luis crosses himself. He has not been in Mass since 1978. He goes today. In Berlin, the Reichstag dome is repaired. The new glass is bulletproof, bomb-proof, violet-proof. At 1414 on May 9th, a crack appears. It is hair-fine, shaped like a wheel with 88 spokes. One spoke is missing. A cleaning woman, Frau Anna Schmidt, age 77, retired from the Bundestag staff, sees it. She touches the crack. The glass is warm. She hears a child's voice. Danke, Oma. Thank you, Grandma. The crack seals. The glass is whole. Anna retires that day. She moves to Bavaria. She plants lilacs. In Washington, the Washington Monument is reinforced with carbon fiber. The crack is filled with epoxy. At 2:14 Easter Daylight Time, the epoxy bubbles. The crack reopens. Inside is the child's shoe. It is dry. The laces are tied. A part police officer, Sergeant Aisha Johnson, age 38, from Anacostia, finds it. She picks it up. It is warm. She hears a voice. Keep it safe. She puts it in her pocket. She clocks out. She drives home. She places the shoe on her mantle. Her daughter, age 12, asks where it came from. Aisha says, from a friend. The daughter smiles. Her eyes flash violet for 1 second. Then they are brown again. In Antarctica, the crater is gone. The ice is closed. Satellite imagery shows smooth white. The Chilean Navy sends a drone. The drone flies over the coordinates. The feed shows a perfect circle of black glass, 200 meters wide, warm to the touch. In the center stands Irina. She is 12. She waves. The drone's battery dies. The feed ends. The glass is gone when the next satellite passes 6 hours later. In Huntsville, Alabama, the U.S. Space and Rocket Center receives an anonymous donation. A child's shoe, size 28, left foot, in a lead line box. The curator, Dr. Maria von Braun, granddaughter of Werner, age 66, opens the box. The shoe is warm. She hears her grandfather's voice. We never left the ground. She closes the box. She locks it in the vault with the V2 blueprints. She retires the next day. On May 10th, 2025, every museum that received a fragment of the bell, Kiev, Cordoba, Berlin, Washington, Los Alamos, reports the same phenomenon. The fragments are gone. In their place, a black feather. The feathers dissolve. The ashes spell 88. The displays are empty. The guards hear children laughing. The laughter lasts 11 seconds. The world does not end. The news cycle moves on. A new war begins in the Pacific. A new virus emerges in Brazil. The price of lithium skyrockets. Children born in 2025 have violet flecks in their eyes that fade by age 3. Old men plant lilacs and do not know why. Tom Riley, the Smithsonian guard, dies on May 11th, 2025, in his sleep. His logbook is found open to the last page. The final entry, in shaking pencil: shoe gone, feather gone, smell gone, silence. The coroner lists cause of death as natural. The autopsy reveals his bone marrow is pink, healthy, age 49. Alina Kovalenko plants a linden tree in Maidan. It grows 88 centimeters in one night. The blossoms are white. She sits beneath it every evening. She reads her grandfather's diary aloud. Passers-by stop. They listen. They weep. They do not know why. On the first anniversary, December 12th, 2025, the world pauses for 11 seconds at 2:14 Universal Time Coordinated. Clock stop. Phones freeze. Hearts skip one beat. Then everything resumes. No one notices, except the children. They look up. They smile. They say in 88 languages, the bell is quiet. The wheel is broken. The promise is kept. The children are free. And somewhere, in a place that is not a place, Irina Sinelroa, 12 years old, forever, walks ashore of black glass. She carries no striker. She needs none. The bell is in her heart, silent, warm, 88 beats per minute. She looks back once. She waves. She says, in every language ever spoken, "Thank you for listening."